Jackson on the drive, kicks it out for man. Man, three-pointer, bang! Oh, what a man!
Magic down the middle, just what I thought. A hook shot at 12, good!
Here's Michael at the foul line, a shot on Elo,
Good! The Bulls win! They win it!
Now there's a steal by Bird, underneath the DJ,
Going up over Bell, ball away. Yes! Yes! At the buzzer, he does it! Was there ever a doubt? A Smith screen, Posey will defend. Oh! LeBron James with no regard for human life.
It's a physical game. Oh, man, oh, God. A monster jam by Blake Griffin.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another post-game live here on Dime Dropper for the 2024 NBA playoffs. In this case, the 2024 NBA Finals. Before we get started, you already know the drill. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube at Dime Dropper. Hit the notification bell so you know every single time I post a video or go live. And, of course, you can also listen to this episode on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and follow your boy on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Dime Dropper Pod. If you're watching on Twitter or X right now, please come to YouTube. I will be deleting the link from Twitter 10 minutes in because people are getting too comfortable on that Twitter. I need you on YouTube commenting and subscribing to the channel for 15K. That's where I make my money. That's where I'm trying to go to the next level. Twitter, please, maybe you can get me on the TV and you stay on your phone scrolling if that's what works easier for you. But YouTube is the place to go. I made it very easy for you by putting the link all over my page. So at 10 minutes, you're getting cut off. Hey, yo, live, what's it called? Mods. Every 5 minutes or every 3 minutes, I need you to say that that Twitter live is getting cut off, and I'm going to show it to the screen as I'm talking because I'm not going to. I don't want to repeat that over and over for the people on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So anyway, tonight, Game 2, Celtics Mavs Finals. Always great to be talking about a finals game. As everybody knows, I want the Celtics to win the series, but I did pick the Mavs because partially I picked the Mavs to lose all the first 3 series, and they ended up winning all of them. So I'm like, shit. Hopefully, I'm going to pick them to win this time, and hopefully I get it wrong again. So it's kind of an anti-jinx pick, but I'll stand on it. I'm not going to backtrack. I said Mavs in 6 because I thought that if the game is close, which I thought they would be, Dallas will get it done. Right now, neither of these games have been that close. This one was closer. This one was tougher. But right now, it looks like the Celtics just have a better team on paper, and that's translating to on the court. They have more talented players. Let's put it this way. Luka Doncic is the best player in the series, but the Celtics have 2 and 3, right? But the way these first 2 games have gone, they've got 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, if we're being real. Kyrie Irving has completely failed to show up to the party so far. That's the number one. Before we get into the game-by-game breakdown, the quarter breakdown, the number one takeaway is that Kyrie Irving has not shown up. He's getting some decent looks. He's missing them. But everything's tough. And this is exactly what we saw against the Celtics in 2022. A lot of what we saw against the Bucks. The thing about Kyrie is when he's at his best, there's no stopping him. And he still had some nice moves, some nice shots tonight. But when you're going against Derek White, Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, it's hard. And they're switching everything, making you play one-on-one. It's hard to get some good shots. And that's where the size comes in. That is where, you talk about the small guard thing, the Becky Hammond take. That's why Steph Curry is so special. He's the only guy that's 6'3" or under to be this clear-cut best scorer on a championship team. Clear-cut best scorer on a championship team, 6'3" or under in the history of the game. Chauncey Billups and that Pistons team, they scored by committee. Isaiah Thomas and his Pistons team, they scored by committee. Steph Curry was several points per game, the highest scorer on that Warriors team. And he's one of a kind. And a lot of it's the off ball. I mean, not saying Kyrie is bad off ball. He's actually very good, but there's levels to it, right? And Steph Curry's not the norm. So with Dallas, I mean, what's interesting? Both sides didn't really adjust much. It's exactly what I said it was going to be, is both teams are going to keep allowing each other to play one-on-one basketball with the switch everything. And the Celtics just have better one-on-one defenders. The guys that you attack for Boston are Al Horford, Porzingis, because you attack a big, Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard. Well, Peyton Pritchard, shout out to him, he made that buzzer-beating 3 at the end of the third quarter. He only played 12 minutes. Sam Hauser only played 10 minutes. So the other 6 guys, the best 6, top 6 of any team in the NBA, shout out Brad Stevens, played 23 minutes or more, right? Every single person in double figures except for Al Horford, who had a solid game in his own right, still doing what he needs to do. 5.7 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal, no turnovers, and shot 50%. 2 for 4 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3. Again, Al Horford is the type of guy that the worst thing he can do is miss shots. He's always going to do the right basketball things. He's always going to work hard defensively. And that's the thing. These first 2 games, a takeaway you can have is the Dallas Mavericks haven't found any success putting Al Horford in the action. And they probably should have done it more this game, but they haven't found much success. They really haven't. And then, it's just amazing the defensive backcourt that the Boston Celtics have. And they've, both made for a second team all defense. But I talked about in the preview with Nick and Bibbs. If you check out that preview, a lot of things are happening right now. We were talking about, look, Luka's going to get his, but if the Celtics defensive backcourt can really limit Kyrie Irving, they've got no chance. And that's exactly what's happening right now. Because essentially, and I got to give Mazzulla a lot of credit, even though it's kind of common sense, but the Celtics have switched everything personnel like as good as it gets in the league, damn near, right? Horford and Porzingis. Porzingis, they like to play with him in drop coverage, but he's still capable of getting out and switching. Al Horford, he's a little more versatile defensively in terms of switching. His foot speed always has been better than the average big. And he's also always been a decent shot blocker, but he's a little older now. Doesn't get off the ground the same way. However, they've been able to they couldn't switch Al Horford all the time on guys like Halliburton, on what's his name? Donovan Mitchell. But against a guy like Luka, who's not the quickest in the world, it's not, hasn't at least so far looked extremely bad to switch Al Horford onto them. But yeah, Al Horford has been fine. And then just everyone else, it's hard you can't really attack anyone on the Celtics like that in terms of those top 6 guys. It's just like, shit, I'm going to have to play against a good defender. And for the Celtics, Kyrie Irving has had a very good defensive postseason, but he's by no means like a great defender. He's above average at best. And here's the thing about Kyrie, right? He's played good defense all the way up until this point, but this is what I mean by the highest levels of ball. When it gets to this point, you play teams like this. And again, this Celtics team is stacked, but this is not stuff we have not seen before in the history of the game in terms of a talented roster. Especially right now, the number one option on this roster is having people talk about how bad he's playing and having debates about it and stuff like that. So they do have a great top 6 players. It's amazing. And what they can do defensively and on both ends of the floor is spectacular, but it's nothing we haven't seen in NBA history. The level that you have to play at against these kinds of teams, this is where you see where the all-time greats rank. And this is why I value rings. It's not about, just because he has more rings, he's better. It's because if you play at this level, at the highest level, and beat the best competition, no matter what your role was, that should be accounted for heavily. It's a team sport, and how you affect team dynamics matter, right? It's not just stats on a paper for an individual. I just think that's a flawed view of the game. Actually, I know that's a flawed view of the game, quite frankly. I'm tired of that bullshit, I think. Anyway, so the Celtics are like, shit, let's play one-on-one. You guys can matchup hunt, and then we can matchup hunt. And we have more guys that can create shots. In the Celtics case, White, Holiday, Brown, Tatum, and Porzingis can all get their own shot. 5 guys. And for the Mavs, it's only 2 guys. So it's like, you know what? If your 2 guys can beat our team, especially with the defenders that we have to make life tough for you compared to what you have, by all means, beat us. If you can do it, you're amazing. And right now, Kyrie Irving is not doing his end of the bargain. And those other guys for the Mavericks, those Derek Jones, and I actually think PJ Washington was good in game 2. But Derek Jones, let's see, who else? Maxi Kleba, Josh Green. These guys have to be better shooting the ball. In this game, they were 6 for 26 from 3, 23%. Boston was awful from 3, 10 for 39, but they still shot 26% because they had a little flurry at the end. Dallas did shoot better from the field, though, 47.5%. Boston, 45%. But what really made the difference was the free throws, if we want to look at shooting splits. 95% for the Boston Celtics, 19 for 20 from the line with Jason Tatum missing the only one. And then for the Mavs, 16 for 24. And look no further than Luka Doncic, who's already taken accountability for this part of the game. 4 for 8 from the foul line for him. The Mavericks, 16 for 24 from the stripe. Daniel Gafford, 1 for 4 from the foul line as well. So 7 of them missed by just 7 of the 8 missed by Gafford and Luka. So if you're Luka Doncic, yeah, you're playing pretty well. But, here's the thing. Like, let's really have an honest conversation about Luka on defense. That was a joke for your best player in a finals game. Like, that's the excuse of – honestly, it's not an excuse. It's like the reality is he has to create a lot on the ball, right? But this team is constructed around Luka's ball dominance. The most he'll do off the ball is he'll come off a screen and – from the wing and then get the ball and flow into a pick and roll. That's all he does in terms of off ball movement. He doesn't move. So he's also not really even like catching the ball inside the arc. It's kind of like if he's posting up, he's working his way down there. So he's making life tough on himself. So don't give me the excuses about Luka's not trying on defense because he's tired offensively. And then people are going to say he's injured. Like, look, every single series, it's Luka's questionable before the game. And then when he's playing, well, he talks shit. Like, give me a break. Give me a break, man. Like, I'm not saying he's not hurt, but like players have played through injury, including himself throughout this postseason. And then when he plays bad, like we can't do this win-win situation where if he plays well, that he's the greatest thing since fucking sliced bread. And then when he plays badly, he's hurt. Don't give me that. Luka's not playing a lick of defense right now in this series. And quite frankly, it's because that level is higher. Yeah, you better close out, buddy. This is Drew Holiday, not Lou Dort or Jaden McDaniels. You better close out. Dude's just sitting there. No excuses. He's been very good offensively. He's the only person that's done their part offensively. You can argue PJ Washington, but defensively, that is not going to get it done. Go back and watch Jokic last year. He was not bad defensively in the playoffs. Go back and watch Dirk in that 2011 run. He had good personnel around him, but so does he outside of Kyrie Irving. But let me also be honest. Derrick Jones, PJ Washington's defense was good. I'll give it to him. But Derrick Jones, quite frankly, everyone is not able to stay in front of the ball right now. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are getting downhill at will. And it shows you that the Mavericks haven't played two ISO guys like this in the playoffs yet. Because James Harden and Paul George, we know that rim pressure is the Clippers' weakness. OKC, J-Dub, he wasn't really getting to the rim like that. He was kind of just stopping and popping, and he could not turn the corner. He doesn't have a bag like that yet. Jaylen and Jason Tatum, while like sometimes they still tend to over dribble and stuff like that, mostly Jason Tatum at this point. I think Jaylen Brown actually, he's taken a bigger leap offensively this season than Tatum has. Tatum, his leap offensively this season has come from his passing. His passing has gotten significantly better, and that was fully on display in this game. But Jaylen Brown, that left hand shit, he heard all of that this summer. He's gotten his left hand better. He's not just losing the ball like that. Much better in terms of when he's driving, not having tunnel vision. He's seeing the open man, driving and kicking, being so much more patient, and just looks so much more confident. Like the experience, experience is the best teacher. I'm happy for Jaylen Brown because he's a likable guy. And he's gone better every season. And I had some really cold takes on Jaylen Brown back in the day when I was in college at UMass. I was saying he'll never, he's a good player after 2019. I was like, he's a good player. He'll never be an all-star, though. He doesn't have a bag like that. And then 2020 was like, yo, what were you saying? Because he came back with a bag. 2021, he took it to another level. 2022, he was great. And then this season, his stats in the regular season went down because he had other players on his team. By no means did he regress, and he's also guarding Luka Doncic primarily. I know that Luka's switch hunting and all that, but Jaylen Brown is guarding Luka primarily, picking him up full court, and still putting on the most rim pressure of probably any player in the entire series. Although, Jason Tatum has the ball the most, so probably Jason Tatum. But, Jaylen Brown has been so great in the postseason. So, yeah. But anyway, right now, I am going to cut it off for the Twitter people. If you want to keep listening to the show, because I'm going to still get into some stuff, come to YouTube. I've posted the link on my Twitter page. It's all over there. But Twitter is cached. All right, YouTube people. We are still going. So, let's keep on talking, right? Yeah, the Celtics, man. Drew Holiday and Derek White's defense was amazing. But this is the special part about Drew Holiday. His offense. His offense was so big time, too, tonight. And that crowd, man, shout out to the Celtic fans trying to protect home court. That was a huge thing last season where they just were poor at home. And Boston is historically great at home. So let's talk about more details about the game. Starting with the first quarter. Same matchups on both sides. Luka and Kyrie did come out more aggressive, though, and you knew that was going to happen. Kyrie had 8 points in the first quarter. Luka Doncic had 13 points in the first quarter. So They came out the right way defensively as well. It really remember what I said, the best defense for Dallas is going to be them making shots. So when they made shots, they were able to set their defense. But when they go cold, that allows the Celtics to get in transition, some cross matches, and then, again, there's way more mismatches on Dallas's side. And something I have to say about myself that making me look like a clown right now, I underestimated the matchup of I overestimated Luka's defense based on the competition that he played against in terms of who he had to guard a lot of times. And then Porzingis, I definitely underestimated the value of Porzingis. And also I overestimated Kyrie Irving right now massively. But first quarter, 8 points for Kyrie, 13 for Luka. The Mavericks led 28-25 after one. Jason Tatum was 0 for 4 in the first. Again, still guarding the five, still being able to blow up pick and rolls, but offensively didn't get much going in that first quarter. And he took one bad three, but the other three were not terrible shots at all. He actually was getting downhill, but missed some chippies around the rim. But I thought throughout the game, Jason Tatum did a really solid job of not settling for the most part and getting downhill. And here's the thing. He shot 22 shots, so he still had his moments of settling. If you want to post a clip and say, what are you talking about? But he had the ball in his hands a lot, right? He's the best. He's the number one option on this team. He's the face of the franchise. He had the ball in his hands the most. And he's probably the best playmaker on the team. If we're really thinking about it, he's most likely going to lead the team in assists in this finals. And that says a lot about how he's grown. I know he's got to shoot better. But, does he if they're winning? Does he? Maybe on this team he doesn't have to. And, that really bothers a lot of people on fans of other teams or stands mainly. It's oh, my best player couldn't go 6 for 22. Okay, your best player, though, guard 1 through 5, like Jason Tatum has, guarding everybody. And the funny part is the Mavs are trying to attack Jason Tatum. And I think that's to make him tired and potentially get him in foul trouble. But as the game went on, that strategy didn't work out too great. Because Tatum can sit down. The Jays sit down. And the great part is they don't have to guard the best players because they have Holiday and Derek White, which was genius by Brad Stevens. And what the Clippers have needed to do around the best players this whole time. They don't fucking listen to me. It's all about defense first and letting Paul George and Kawhi cook offensively. But whatever. The Clippers are not here for a reason. For many reasons. Anyway. God, my computer's lagging. Is it lagging on your guys' end? 30 people in the live. Shout out to everybody in the live, man. Super chats are turned on. If you want to drop $1 or a dime, any donation is appreciated for your boy. It is not easy doing this stuff every single game of the playoffs, which we have watched this season. But yeah, that was all I have to say about the first quarter. Josh Green was fouled on a 3 to end the quarter, which was bad from Porzingis. But Porzingis came in and he was doing some good things. They were getting the ball in the mid post and stuff like that. But it wasn't just the all out come in the game and completely turn on its head that we saw in game one. The Celtics were 0 for 8 from 3, by the way, in the first quarter before Horford made that 3 right before Josh Green got that foul. But, and I also want to mention about Horford. He got that 3 on a nice Jaylen Brown drive and kick. So going back to Jaylen Brown and not having tunnel vision and stuff like that, that was an example. Second quarter, Luka Doncic was fully in his bag, getting to that mid-range. And again, it's all isolation, though. It's making him work hard. And oftentimes the Celtics are just letting him play. They're kind of like going back to that Clippers strategy in 2021, let's let Luka score his, but let's make sure we limit the other guys. And that being said, they're still helping when they need to and living with Derek Jones and PJ Washington and Josh Green and Dante Exum shooting threes. And yeah, it's not been working out for the Mavericks so far with those guys. PJ Washington, though, I mentioned this briefly earlier, but I thought he was doing a really good job protecting the rim at times and then just playing defense overall. Tatum was still cold, missing lid looks at the basket and 3, but I thought, again, overall his offensive process was not that bad. It's better than we've seen in the past to me. I know his efficiency doesn't reflect that, but if you really look at how many good shots he created for the Celtics, and he has in both these games, again, this comes back to how you view basketball, how you evaluate basketball. I just don't think he's been bad. What about the defense and rebounding? Does that not matter? But again, it's looked down upon for stars to do the grunt work nowadays if you don't shoot well. Anyway, Derek Jones Jr. had a nice stretch, though, in that second quarter. We had an offensive board and a pass after a steal. Plus a steal and an and one. And Luka, man, he threw some ridiculous passes in that first half. There was that one scoop pass baseline. He had the PJ Washington on the left wing. It was crazy. Again, though, this is kind of showing, it's tough to say that the Celtics are moving the ball and the Mavericks are playing iso ball because it's not really like that. Both teams are playing iso ball. The Celtics are just able to get by the Mavs first player and then get the ball moving, and then your defense is in rotation. And like Luka's not a guy that blows by you all the time. He kind of works his way in, gets his shot, and he's still doing exactly that. But, it's tough to live on a diet of contested jumpers, which is basically what the Mavs do live on when it comes to their two best players. And the Jays have more downhill rim pressure. And especially in Jalen's case, he's really not settling like last year. And I always said, despite the additions of Porzingis and Holiday, it's really going to come down to the Jays. And I think Jason Tatum, you could say he's not really doing that part. Because if he didn't have Drew Holiday and KP, let's say you go back to that team last year, he wouldn't be getting away with this. He wouldn't be. He'd have to shoot better. But Jaylen Brown, he's making me think that even if they had stayed, he would have been better. Because, God, how many bad games he had in the playoffs? I don't think Tatum also has had bad games necessarily much. It's just he hasn't shot well. The thing about it is everyone's comparing him to Paul George, right? And he has so many PG tendencies. Everything is with the defense, everybody facing him, all eyes on him, dribbling at the top of the key behind the three. No mid-post. He says he's a Kobe worshiper, and he doesn't do anything that Kobe does except for take some tough shots. That's the most negative part of Kobe's game, you can say. That's what he does the best. That's the only thing he does to replicate him. Come on, bro. There's no mid-post. There's no working for post position. Everything is beyond the arc with defense facing you. And if you didn't have as good of a team, you wouldn't be getting away with it. But that being said, Tatum does just so many other things on the court so well. And he was still drawing two so much and making the right pass. He's really gotten better at passing the ball. And yeah, Drew Holiday, he was doing a great job just from the get-go, attacking closeouts. Again, so many guys that can put the ball on the deck and make a play for Boston. Drew Holiday is prime example. And he does a great job of just kind of lurking in that dunker spot area for a guard. And he's just such a good finisher around the basket. So he had a bunch of paint points, whether it be finding a space underneath to get the ball, and then others where he was attacking closeouts. And Luka had a couple of bad possessions in a row defensively that second quarter, just feet stuck in mud, not aware off the ball, just lazy. Second quarter, it was 29-23 in favor of the Celtics. 11 points for Drew Holiday in the quarter to go along with 4 rebounds. The Mavericks had 10 from Luka in that quarter, but Kyrie just had 2 points on 1 for 5 shooting. So the score at halftime was 54-51 in favor of Boston. And I remember thinking, look, I think Dallas is playing pretty well right now, right? You look at Luka, he's 9 for 13. You look at 23 points at halftime, but only 3 assists. That's still 3 times as many assists he had in game 1, though. But then Kyrie Irving, he's 5 for 10 points. So you got 33 points from your best players. You're only down by 3. You're playing good D. Here's the thing. If you look at it from the Celtics perspective, they're up by 3. Tatum is shooting 2 for 9, and their team is shooting 3 for 15 from 3. And yes, the Mavericks are playing good defense, but a lot of those are similar shots that they missed in game 1, or that they made in game 1. So if I'm a Celtics fan, I'm feeling pretty good. The thing about the Mavs is they need to keep these games close. The Celtics are pulling away, and of course that has to do with home court advantage a lot as well. But the Celtics just have better players, period. So they're going to need the Mavericks are going to need their top 2 to be insane. It's going to have to be like 2016 Cavs vibes. That's the way they play basketball. That's literally what they do. They just take turns playing pick and roll, Kyrie and Luka. That's all they do. And again, it's been multiple coaches, and this is what they do. So that tells me that this is what Luka wants to do. Or this is how Luka plays, and they try to maximize the roster around him. This is why I don't want them to win. A lot of it's just I'm fighting for the good fight of basketball, which is different stuff offensively, not giving 1 or 2 guys just every single rep in terms of creating shots for your team. He'll say no to heliocentric ball. Absolutely not. Luka is an exception. I think he's going to get a ring playing this way because he's so damn good. But maybe not, because LeBron James was playing fucking defense when he was in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Especially LeBron. What are we talking about here? Luka Doncic is in his 6th season. So for LeBron, that was 2009. So LeBron 2009 defensively is worlds apart from Luka. So, and in terms of the little things. And that LeBron James in 2009, he used to bring it every night. There was no laziness on defense or sitting on the block like he's done the last 10 years in the regular season. No, that was a different animal. So, and he didn't win a championship in 2009, obviously. But let's just say 2016, right? Because that actual style of play was a little more similar to Luka. Because Luka, LeBron's athleticism is so on a different planet than Luka. I think the pick and roll stuff, that's the stuff you see in common with 2018 LeBron. 2018 LeBron and this Luka. But the defense is worlds apart. Even though LeBron in that regular season did not play defense like that. And I was a LeBron fan saying that. But in the playoffs, I mean, it's worlds apart. It's that athleticism, but it's also just that want to. Like Luka doesn't get a pass for that. Third quarter, Drew Holiday. And the Jays started to get going and not settling. One thing that was huge for Tatum was getting that and one layup on a Drew Holiday offensive rebound. He keeps crashing the glass. Great timing. And again, I've always said it's defense and rebounding that wins you championships. And people that love offense so much and are pro offense over defense always make it seem like I'm saying that you can have a bad offense and win. And that's not true. But the thing is, like a night like tonight's a prime example. The Celtics are not making their threes, but they didn't live and die with it, which is what they've done in previous years. The Jays especially stayed aggressive, trying to blow by guys. Here, Luka Doncic. Here, Derek Lively. Here, Daniel Gafford. Come guard me. Here, Kyrie Irving. Come guard me because I'm going to post you up and they're going to send two at me. That's what they were doing. They were being more, I can't say they were being more aggressive because Luka and Kyrie are shooting the ball and doing everything, but they were being more aggressive than their previous selves. And you can definitely make a case that because Derek White and Drew Holiday are so damn good on both ends of the floor, that they're more fresh for that. But it's also, I want to say, experience as well. So the Jays, I mean, they were not settling, getting going. And as I was watching that third quarter is when I started to say, like, man, I should have just picked what I wanted, because how could I have looked, kind of overlooked just how bad of a matchup this is for Dallas. Like, the Celtics strategy is great. Just switch everything and just rely on. I mean, again, I just expected more from Kyrie. I really did. But I also expected more from Luka on defense. I didn't think he would play this badly defensively. Like, this is a joke right now. This is terrible. And then Derek Lively's been awful. So I'm going to talk adjustments in a second, but Derek Lively's not impacted this series at all. And part of that is that 5 out from the Celtics. But offensively, when the lob isn't there because they're switching everything, he has no utility offensively except for maybe offensive rebounding, which he's not even doing. So that's why that's happening. Luka started turning it over, by the way, in the third quarter. He doesn't like that second half. He didn't play that well. Like he actually played like ass, if we're being real. If we're talking both ends of the floor, he just ran out of gas. Again, they're gonna say he was injured. He did in 2021 when he ran out of gas for doing so much. Was he injured? The Celtics were making him work. So when Luka wins next game, because he's I predict the Mavericks gonna win, and he drops 40. Is he injured still? Like, maybe he still is, but we can't do that, Mavericks fans. And I know I'm going to get a lot of Mavs fans that watch this. If I know the Mavs fans have been supporting me when they win, I hope they support me when they lose. And I hope my Celtics fans are tuning in, baby. Shout out to my Celtics fans, my UMass family over in the East Coast. Minutemen and Minutewomen, stand up, baby. You guys are 2 wins away. I'm happy for you guys, but I still don't love the Celtics winning championships because they've won 17 already. I know they've only won 1 in my time watching basketball, 1 since 86, but God, it's still 17 rings, man. I make content on it. I seen them. Bill Russell dominated. Give other guys a chance, but not a heliocentric crybaby like Luka. Anyway, Luka's amazing, though. And Kyrie was just bricking, though. I mean, it's solid looks. It's just a lot of his diet is just contested jump shots. He does not get to step on guys, and he's playing some of the best guard defenders I want to say of Drew Holiday for sure of this generation, but Derek White, he might be up there too. And after he wins this championship, he's going to be talked about very differently when we talk about great role players all the time, because 3 seasons in a row since he's come to this Celtics team, he's been great. And if you go back and watch that 2019 series against the Denver Nuggets, he was really good in some of those games in the first round for San Antonio. He had like some 20 plus games in that series. So, I mean, that guy's just a stud, dude. Drew Holiday and Derek White, they might end up being in the conversation of great defensive backcourts of all time when this is all said and done. I'm talking with the likes of, let's name some. Why not? Let's go back. Well, let's start from the top. I mean, Casey Jones and Sam Jones, right up there with the best of them. Joe Dumars and Isaiah Thomas, Billups and Hamilton. Who else? Give me some names, guys. Those defensive back, man. You always usually have one guy defensively that's not great in the backcourt. I honestly think Derek Fisher and Kobe is not a bad one either. Derek Fisher and Kobe. What about Ron Harper and Jordan? That's a good one. Anyway, you guys start naming those in the comments. How about Starks and Derek Harper? All right, so the Jays were getting by Luka for fun. A lot of targeting of them, Lively, and then Luka was turning it over and Kyrie was bricking. And the Mavs others are just so outclassed. If we take the Jays and put them aside, then we take Kyrie and Luka and put them aside, then you put on the rest of the team. It's just such a landslide win for the Celtics. You're talking about Derek White, who was getting all-star shouts this season. And, I mean, look, the case, I know why the case is being made. I would put guys like Trae Young who have to carry the weight on their teams. because Derek White just can't do that. But man, you can make an argument that these guys like Derek White, they're more built for championship basketball, because guys like Trae Young, like in a first option role, he's never going to win the championship ever. But Derek White can, be a role player. Can Trae Young be a role player? His utility comes from having the ball in his hands, right? So that's the type of thing about guys like Derek White. So when you talk about the all-star consideration over him, Drew Holiday is just, we already know what he can do. So Mavs, they actually cut it down to 6 though at the end of the third, but then Pritchard hit that bank 3. And the Celtics, they could have blown this game open. They're missing a ton of open threes. If you look at the third quarter, it was 23-29 in favor of Boston. The Jays and Drew Holiday played the entire quarter. Drew Holiday all but 3 seconds. 6 points and 4 rebounds in the quarter alone for Drew. Jason Tatum got going more offensively in that quarter. 8 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists on 3 for 6 shooting. And then Brown with 7 in that quarter as well. Kyrie 0 for 3 in the third with 2 points. Luka 6 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 3 turnovers in the quarter. Shitty defense. He was 2 for 2, so he didn't get that many shots off. They were starting to throw some blitzes at him actually, but he had 6 assists in the quarter alone. So some really great passes he was making. But the C's were taking that momentum into the fourth, a 9-point lead. And then the way that the Jays started the fourth quarter by just drawing 2 at all times and continuing to be relentless, that was the difference to me. They just had more energy in that fourth. Kyrie and Luka just weren't really getting the step on their guy and weren't getting in the paint. Tatum was missing some good looks too. Like he had a bunch of solid looks from 3. Just his jumper just was not on at all. Like at all. He made 1 right wing 3. But he missed so many shots, jumpers. Like he had some shots around the basket that he made, but outside the paint, like I would like to see his field goal percentage tonight. He had this one tough turnaround that he shot when he was already like 6 for 17, which you could say was one of his like 4 or 5 bad shots out of 22. And it led to a Kyrie layup. But Luka, he looked gassed in the fourth. He had that turnaround over Pritchard that was well short. And Peyton Pritchard, give him a shout. Like he had some big defensive stops one-on-one in this game. And the Jays, they were just relentless, continuing to put the ball pressure on. Then I think the play that really ended the game was Drew Holiday putting pressure on in the backcourt, deflecting the pass, and then it makes them throw one because they don't want to get the 8-second violation. Derek White intercepts, ends with Holiday hitting a 3, and then Derek White hits a 3 right after. And that was after a 9-0 Mavs run. So the Celtics just were able to keep it. The closest the Mavs got it was 697 to like 103, I believe, in the fourth. Yeah. And then Jaylen Brown had that awesome drive with it to his left for the basket. How poetic. So the Celtics win it 105-98 to take a 2-0 lead. The key for me was they didn't let it get too close. That was the key. If it's a close game, I still favor the Dallas Mavericks. But right now the Celtics are doing their thing. They defended home court. I think the prediction I had, like the one I wanted, Celtics in 7. God, right now it looks like it could be over before that. It could still be the case. But I'd be really surprised if Dallas wins this series. I think they just have had a tough road. It's hard to win 4 series on the road. That's why these statistics are there for a reason. Please, I need the Celtics to win for that top 3 seed agenda too. But anyway, fourth quarter stats. The Celtics got outscored by the Mavs 24-22. Luka was 1 for 6 in the fourth with 2 turnovers. 1 for 6 in the fourth with 2 turnovers in garbage defense, 3 points. Kyrie played the whole quarter, 4 points, 2 rebounds, 3 dimes. 2 for 5, not good enough. And it's funny because Gafford and PJ Washington had 7. Gafford had 7 points, and PJ Washington had 6 points in the fourth. All the role players outscored Luka and Kyrie in that fourth, which is just wild. Jason Tatum, 1 for 7 in the fourth. He really didn't shoot well. Derek White played the whole fourth, though. It had 8 points. And then Jaylen Brown had 6 points in the fourth. Let's read the overall lines in this game for the Mavericks. Jaden Hardy played just 2 minutes. Didn't even get a shot up. Didn't register in any category. Josh Green, 4 points, 1 rebound on 1 for 4 shooting and 0 for 3 from 3. He's got to make shots. And I think in Dallas he will, but he's got to give him something because they need these guys to make shots from 3. They are just absolutely broke right now. Maxi Kleba giving them nothing. I said that he was going to go play more minutes in that switch everything scheme, but he looks like he's not 100% right now. Looking like nothing close to the Maxi Kleba in that series against us, my Clippers. 0 points, 0 for 4 from the field for Kleba. 0 for 2 from 3, just 2 rebounds. Not good enough. And then Derek Lively, 19 minutes, 2 points, 7 boards, 2 turnovers, 1 for 3 from deep. I'm sorry, 1 for 3 from the field. As I said, the lob is not there because they're playing one-on-one basketball, and the Celtics would rather the Mavericks shoot threes than, let Luka get in the paint and then help with whoever's guarding Lively. You know what I'm saying? When Luka gets in the paint, it's already over. So they're going to play more one-on-one. There's no drop coverage. So Derek Lively, he's not getting those lobs. Then defensively, he's getting stretched out by the Celtics offense with the 5-out scheme. So his impact has been very minimal so far in this series. Now, Derek Jones, let's go with Gafford first. 13 points, 9 rebounds, 6 for 9 from the field. I think it was fine. Derek Jones, 11 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. He was not great to me. I mean, he had some good moments, but defensively, he's not really stopping anybody right now, making anything that tough. 4 for 7 from the field, 0 for 3 from deep. They need him to make his open threes. 3 for 3 from the foul line. And again, I said throughout the season, I don't think Derek Jones Jr. is good enough to start on a championship team. And then I backtracked on this playoffs. I'm like, but he's showing it. Championship level. It's the highest level. I got to keep remembering that. We'll see. But you can't blame Derek Jones before you blame Kyrie Irving. But PJ Washington is where we're going next. 17-7 for him. 6 for 13 from the field, which is great. All that is great. But 1 for 5 from 3, they need to make their open shots. And again, it is hard as a role player to be not touch the ball so much and have to watch these guys ISO and then just to catch and shoot. You could be out of rhythm. That's very valid. And a lot of PJ's shots were attacking a closeout, putting up that floater, that Euro step floater. But his 3-ball was not falling, and they're going to need it to fall. But again, Kyrie and Luka, even though they're playing against isolation, I'll talk about the adjustments after the lines. Kyrie Irving, 16 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 turnovers, on 7 for 18 shooting and 0 for 3 from deep. So if I'm not mistaken, he's 13 for 37 to start this series. It's nowhere near good enough, especially with the fact that the other guys on this team cannot create their own shot. And Luka, he had a triple-double, 32 points, 11 rebounds, 11 assists, 4 steals, 8 turnovers. Oh, my God. Yeah, no passes there. And shitty defense. Yeah, no passes there, my friends. Everybody needs to be better. PJ Washington's the only one to me that can say, yeah, I've been good enough. Not good enough in the Celtics. No Tim Hardaway Jr. Now for the C's. Sam Hauser was 0 for 5 and 0 for 5 from 3. And he was great in game 1, so I guess law of averages. Peyton Pritchard, 12 minutes, 3 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, 1 steal on 1 for 2 shooting. Both those shots were threes. Obviously, the one he made was that half-court shot. I think he was really good, actually, in his minutes. He stood up to the task on D. Moved his feet well, stayed strong. Then Porzingis, 23 minutes played, 12 points, 4 boards, 1 assist, and 2 blocks. Still impacted the game greatly. No turnovers, protecting the rim. He was 0 for 3 from deep, but he had a couple of those mid-post looks where he just turned over the top and got something. 4 for 7 from the field, 4 for 4 from the foul line. Porzingis, truly a difference maker. And then the starters, all who played 28 minutes or more. I already talked about Horford's stat line, so I'm going to go to Derek White, who is just phenomenal on both ends of the floor. 18 points, 5 rebounds, 2 dimes, 3 steals, and 2 blocks and a turnover. He had that block late, but it looked like a foul, and I think it was a foul, but it doesn't matter. Another solid performance by Derek White. And then you have Drew Holiday, who for me was the player of the game. Just amazing on both ends of the floor. Does all the things that help you win games. I was praying the Clippers got him, and they didn't. And I was getting clowned because I wanted him over Harden. But again, this is what it is. It's not about it's look, I don't think we'd be better necessarily with with Drew Holiday over Harden. It wouldn't matter if Kawhi was healthy. I mean, if it was injured, and especially if he is injured, Harden is the better option. But I would just rather always have Drew Holiday than this version of Harden. Always. Someone that guards. Because if he shoots like shit, he can still make up for it with rebounding and defense. And I don't like James Harden's process as an offensive focal point. It's very stagnant, very slow. Hinders ball movement. And I don't like the lack of defense. So, especially because Drew Holiday would have been our 3rd best player. That's also why I wanted him. But hey, it's, you now have to watch him win his 2nd ring. So, again, I always get something out of it. 26 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 0 turnovers on 11 for 14 shooting and 2 for 4 from 3, 2 for 2 from the foul line in 41 minutes from that dude from Campbell Hall and your UCLA Bruins. If you're a UCLA fan, I mean, come on, son. We get ring number 2, baby. We get ring number 2. Drew Holiday does all the little things. And then also doing the big things tonight. How about Jaylen Brown? 21 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, 6 turnovers, though. Wow. 8 for 15 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3. The thing is about Jaylen, he can play even better. But he's been good enough for me and on both ends of the floor. Jason Tatum. Wow, the Jays shot 2 for 12 from 3, and the Celtics still didn't even really have a very close game at the end. It wasn't, here's the thing. It was close, but it wasn't like down to the last. It wasn't a 2-possession game for very long in that fourth quarter. So that's not that close. That's not close enough for Luka and Kyrie are dangerous. Jason Tatum, nearly a triple-double. Would have been nice if he got it. 18 points, 9 boards, 12 assists. Is that a playoff career high? I wonder. 1 steal, 3 turnovers on a brutal 6 for 22 from the field, 1 for 7 from 3. But he was 5 for 6 from the line, which is the most free throw attempts of any Celtic. And he played 45 minutes. I think he was still very good in many ways. Defended, guarded 1 through 5, was able to guard the best player on the other team, created good looks all game. And like the people that are saying, like a comment like this from a mind that needs a little bit more maturity in the basketball world, saying Tatum is honestly a role player more than a star. No, because role players are not the ones that lead your team in time on the ball. They're not the ones that you're running most of your actions for. They're not the ones that is creating most of your shots. That's not what a role player does. It's actually just you being weird about a star player doing the little things because you're so used to these offensive ball dominators that don't do shit on defense. That's what you're like Luka, for example. You guys praise like crazy. I'm not saying Tatum's better than Luka, but you gotta see the game for what it is. It's a two-way sport. And I do think an offensive player can take over a game more than a defensive player in the game of basketball. I do think offense is more valuable when debating individuals. But when you critique a game, you've got to take into account the defensive side. So as far as what Dallas can do differently, so obviously the Celtics, I'll just keep doing the same shit. You're going to need Tatum to shoot better, and I think he will. Tatum just got to, he needs to catch, again, it's the same thing I say about Paul George, catch the ball closer to the basket, man. Everything is beyond the arc. Everything is with the defense, 10 eyes on you. Make it easy. He doesn't. But other than that, I like that he's been aggressive and taking guys off the bounce, especially the centers and Luka. As far as what Dallas can do, I think they need to continue to do the, I might consider going with drop coverage with Gafford and what's his name? Gafford and Lively and conceding the pick and pop 3 to Horford and then still switching against Porzingis. Try to make Horford beat you with threes. I really think that's not a terrible strategy. And then if he starts missing, he might get into his head. If he starts making every 3, then fine. Go back to switching everything. But I think it's worth a shot. And then maybe you make Jason Tatum make some bad decisions in drop coverage. You never know. Take some tough contested shots. And then I would say, I've been saying this all postseason. They haven't gotten away with it, but they have to stop. Luka needs to show and recover on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. He cannot switch on to these guys anymore. It's brutal. I'm not going to rely on say, Luka, you just got to play better one-on-one defense. No, he's not that good of a fucking defender. You're going to keep going at him. So you got to adjust there, in my opinion. And then offensively, you've got to get Luka to get the ball inside the arc a little bit more. Post-ups, not just everything beyond the arc. Let Kyrie bring the ball up for a sec. Throw it to him. Run maybe a little cross screen if you want to get him the catch. I mean, you've got to get something like that. And then defensively, I think you got to make Jason Tatum beat you with shots. So stop over-helping. Let Jason Tatum get to the rim and contest that layup from the rear view and see if he makes it. Don't try to play defense. Try to play defense without fouling. Let Jason Tatum try to beat you. So maybe don't let so I'll say this. Maybe show Luka Doncic on Jaylen Brown on the pick and roll, but then switch him on a Tatum and just try to make Tatum have tunnel vision and play one-on-one. Stay home and make him take tough shots. And also stop playing so up on him. Make him take the step back 3 at this point because he's willing to take it if you give him enough space. And he might start making more as a result. But right now he's getting into the paint and he's getting the ball moving and it's bad. It's bad for your defense. He's really affecting things. As much as people want to point out that shooting shit. So those would be my adjustments. Then the biggest adjustment, screw all the scheme stuff. Kyrie Irving needs to play better offensively. He needs to make shots. He needs to be this is the guy that people call the most skilled player of all time, even very smart basketball minds. I mean, so you're just saying his size is the only thing that holds him back, which is totally a fair point. Like, he's getting clean looks. He's just not making shots. These are tough shots. These are Kyrie shots. And yes, there are possessions where Derek White and Drew Holiday, they were just locking his ass up. But man, he's still getting some good looks. He's got to make them. But that's it for me in this one, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Celtics fans, let me know what you think in the comments. Mavericks fans, let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for listening on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star review and a comment. I haven't had one of those in a while on Apple Podcasts, so do your thing. And yeah, you can always listen to this on YouTube, where we are going live to the subscribers waiting patiently in the chat. Super chats are turned on if you want to drop $1 a dime. Peace. And by the way, tomorrow I am dropping a vlog, my first WNBA vlog, my first Sparks game ever. First chance seeing Cam Brink and Rakia Jackson play. It was awesome. For LA sports fans, I really want you to watch this to see what the differences are between a Laker and Clipper game experience. So many unique things, and obviously an amazing seat for a low price to see the two young stars for our Sparks and a W. So check that out tomorrow. Everybody else, peace out.